And you can see how useless the fours were there. They're fantastic units, don't get me wrong, but they weren't useful in that situation because they didn't have enough siege tanks to stop the fours from dying. Fours on themselves ain't going to be that much, but you've got the siege tanks there, the fours are just devastating. So now I've got enough siege tanks, but they're all at my base, so that's not much use. And I've also used a lot of my gas there, building those fours and siege tanks. They've got killed over this point, so I'm already in a bad position, and it's now my opponent's going to win, basically. Unless I can pull something out of the bag, but my opponent's continuing to upgrade his units, which is the right idea. So it's going to make his units even tougher against myself, whilst I haven't made... Oh, I have actually. I've been making vehicle upgrades, so that is good. Well done me. So, yeah, that's a good start. But my opponent is going to be getting himself an expansion over this point. Now, I scattered this bit, because if you look here... Well, I haven't actually, but I do at some point. Sorry about that little spoiler there, but I'm sure I do find... There we go, the Marine does find it. So I know about that, so I'm like, oh, he's trying to get himself a third expansion. I'll stop that. I didn't really think to scan or scout this bit, so it didn't really apply to me for some reason. Now I've got myself a few more siege tanks. It's going to be sort of like leapfrogging them ahead. Leapfrogging is where you basically on the siege mode the ones at the back, move them to the forward ones, and then siege mode them again. Now he's got burrow roaches here. Now I completely made an oversight here. This is essentially what is going to screw me over in this game. You can see that right in the middle of my tanks. My tanks ain't sieged. I thought, well, it's too late to siege them now. I'm just going to have to try and kill this. With those upgrades as well, even just 1-1, he could absolutely slaughter my army there. So now he's sitting on 121 food and I'm sitting on 66. He's getting himself his third expansion about to go up, and I've got nothing to kill that third expansion. Meanwhile, I'm continuing to make myself lots of siege tanks now. So I've made quite a lot of mistakes in this game, and hopefully you can learn from it if you're ever in the same situation. If you're playing as a Zerg, then simply do what this guy's doing, because roaches are the right approach towards Terran mech. But if the Terran is playing very well with his mech, then even roaches aren't going to be that great against it. But obviously I've made enough mistakes now for him to get a bit of a lead on me. Now I'm building a couple of bunkers outside here just to slow him down a bit whilst my siege tanks are going to get themselves a position. I'm a bit paranoid about the burrow, and I know that. That's why I put down the scan. Siege tanks are going to try and do some damage here. He's in a good position if he can stay around this point, because he won't be able to be attacked by the siege tanks, but he doesn't know exactly where they're positioned. So I'm having to bring back all of my SCVs. I'm going to have to lift up this orbital command as well to stop the roaches from attacking it. He's now going to try and flee, give himself a bit of a burrow, but fortunately for me I've got enough scans to deal with that. But at this point I'm starting to get myself marauders as well to deal with the roaches, which is what I thought was the correct counter. Which it sort of is. You do go marauders, but I went a bit too nuts with marauders, and I've lost so much gas now from basically losing my units before. I guess this is one of the problems with Terran mech, is it is very expensive gas wise, so if you do lose one of the early to mid game battles, you are really behind, because look at my enemy, he's got so many resources, whereas I've got 100 gas, and I'm getting myself a starport now because I'm realising, hey, he's got burrowed. I'm going to need ravens. I'm going to try to build like turrets around the area, but I can't cover the map in turrets. It's not really that reliable. I have got scans, but I can't completely rely on scans like, you know, for like multiple loads of burrows, so I need some sort of invisible detecting unit, which is the Raven, and I've built the starport way too late. Way too late. Now I'm starting to get myself a lot more gas, but it's all too late now. Tanks are just sitting there. My enemy is now making the right approach, because at some point he's getting himself another hatchery so he can actually build enough units, and he's getting himself a spire. So we're going to start to see mass mutalisks come out, because he's forced me into going marauders to deal with the roaches, and I've gone way too many tanks now this time and not enough fours. So really this game has been a big eye-opener for me, because I've really started to see now how to approach this Terran mech build a lot better, because I had my own theories about it and how to do it and roughly how to go about it, but this game has been great for me because I've learnt a lot from it. He's got another expansion, so this is really, really dire for me. I'm basically going to have to try and leapfrog ahead here and just try and see if I can finish him off. So the siege tanks are now pushing out. I'm building turrets here to try and get some sort of fishing, because I've still not got my freaking Raven yet. I've fallen behind here, to be honest. A lot of panicking going on, a lot of craziness. I know I'm in trouble here, but I feel like I've not lost this yet. I've got more orders and tanks to deal with those roaches. But what I can't deal with is all those mutalisks that are up here. So, no, it's not looking too good. I've got 2 forts coming out. But I know that I should have built them earlier because the thought came across my head about a minute before this point where I thought, what if he gets muters? And then that's when I started to build 4s, but then I should have realised to build those 4s to go with all these siege tanks earlier, and as you can see, everything's going to get slaughtered. I can't hit the air. Roaches are now burrowing in towards my siege tanks. They're going to lift up and kill the siege tanks. So I fell behind, way too far behind here earlier in the game, and lost it basically when he used the burrow roaches, and that's when you should get yourself the Raven and be aware of that, essentially. So yeah, this is a great game, I feel, and I've learnt a lot from it. I don't regret it whatsoever, even though it's a loss. I mean, that's not really the point. As long as you learn from it, it's a benefit. But you can see my opponent's got tons of resources, tons of everything, and I was making too many 4s, not enough siege tanks, and then too many siege tanks, not enough 4s. You've got to get the correct balance, and practice makes perfect with that. So hopefully some people have learnt something from this as well as myself. Thank you very much for watching. This has been WTii. Please subscribe, rate and comment.